Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know when to start. We're live? Yes. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another inspiring session of Empower Her series. So, for just to give you a brief introduction about Empower Her is a specially curated speaker series by Comtel, and it is dedicated to celebrating and empowering women leaders across various sectors. So today here we have a truly remarkable individual with us, someone whose dedication and passion have left an indelible mark on the world of cancer care and support. I would like to introduce you all to Viji Venkatesh. With over 35 years of experience in cancer care and support, she currently is the regional head for India and South Asia at the Max Foundation. Additionally, she is also an executive committee member of the Marrow Donor Registry India and Terrifox India Committee. Apart from that, she also serves as a trustee of the Being Human Foundation and Friends of Max Charitable Trust. Apart from all of this, she is also an accomplished author and an actor who started her acting career at the age of 71. So Viji's journey is actually a true testament to the power of passion, perseverance and purpose. So please join me in extending a warm welcome to Viji. Viji, welcome.
Thank you.
No problem. Please sit.
Thank you for the very kind introduction. Yeah, a lot of extra nice things you said about me. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be, and I'm happy to see so many people here also. Thank you.
Please have a seat.
Can I sit there? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
So Viji, thank you so much for being here with us today, and we definitely look forward to an inspiring session and discussion ahead. So to begin with, I would actually like to ask you about your journey. So can you tell us about your journey in cancer care? How did it all begin? What drew you to this field? And how have you kind of evolved over time as a professional in cancer care?
That's a lot of questions in one question, but I like that. In fact, many people do ask that, was there some special reason why you chose a career in cancer care?
Right.
To be really honest, I will not have any such incident to say that I was, motivated or inspired, or it came to me as a calling. I just needed a job.
Right.
I was 35 years old. I had 2 small children. We had been living in Venezuela. My husband was working in a petrochemical, in a oil refinery.
Right.
And there was a lot of unrest in that country, economic collapse. Oil prices crashed, so their currency was devalued. So we had to come away, and coming back to India in mid-80s, and this was a very long time ago. It was a struggle for us, and so I said, I need to do something. I need to get employed.
Right.
And I was, like I said, a homemaker, 35 years old, and I was inexplicably optimistic. I was like, I'll go and I'll get a job. But it was not easy. I tried so hard. My only qualifications were a bachelor's degree in English literature.
Right.
Okay, and so we were living in Vashi those days, quite close to where we are now. And so I went to a couple of schools thinking I can teach. My English is good. But then they asked for a B.Ed degree. And then I said, Acha, okay, I'll do a B.Ed degree. So when I applied, they wanted teaching experience, and there were like so many roadblocks, and there was nothing available. I think one of the schools here offered me something like 20 rupees an hour for teaching spoken English to their students from the regional area, and so I was like, I was like so dejected, so despondent. And then somebody told me that they knew of a cancer organization that was looking for people to help them raise money
Right.
for patients, for chemotherapy. So I went and I met this gentleman. His name is Viji Venkatesh. The name of that organization is Cancer Patients Aid Association. And he gave me a job. He must have seen something in me, which even I didn't see at that time.
Right.
And till today, I owe so much to Sapru Saab and working those 14 years in that cancer organization. And something which he did, and which I think is a beautiful lesson for all of us in human resources and in any workspace, is that he didn't give me a job. He evaluated me without even my realizing it, and he created a job around the skills and competencies he saw in me.
Wow.
And I think if today I'm somewhere, it's because he saw that, okay, this is a person who is capable of doing this. So let me give her a chance to do that. So he created that space for me where then, so I learned, I learned so many. And you would imagine at that stage of your life, you wouldn't think that you'd be able to learn so much. So I think that, as well as the city of Bombay, I still call it Bombay. मैं मराठी में बात करती हूँ, हिंदी में तो मैं मुंबई या बम्बई कहूँगी, but talking English I call it Bombay. I think Bombay is a city that allows you to do whatever you want to do. It doesn't question you, right. It doesn't challenge you, it doesn't trouble you. It draws you into its vortex, okay? Completely खींच लेता है, but it allows you to retain your individuality. It gives you, I think it identifies you as courageous, and it kills the fear of you. Nobody in Bombay, where I used to come to these mills and factories in these areas, Belapur, Thane Belapur, Nhava Sheva, Raigad, Patalganga. I used to go to all these places, and nobody ever asked me, "Aapke mister kya karte hain?" Nobody ever asked me that question. They took me as I was, at my face value. So there was so much dignity, allotted to this one individual who's come there with the purpose of offering cancer education, tobacco counseling to workers, to the factory workers.
Right.
And so I joined this organization and started raising funds. We used to go to these factories and mills, like I said, where an individual would earn something like 1,200, 1,400.
Correct.
This was 30, 35 years ago.
Correct.
That's a lot of money,
yeah.
For a worker. And from that, he would give us 20 rupees, 30 rupees, sometimes even 40 rupees as donation. And
wow.
We were like, we need to do something for these, for these workers. So I went to the British Council Library. I knew nothing about cancer. So when I was growing up, like all women who grew up, I grew up in the 60s. She disclosed my age. So I grew up in the 60s, and I wanted to be an air hostess. I think every woman's dream at that age, maybe, is to be an air hostess. There was glamour attached to it. You would be flying, you would be meeting people, you would be going to different countries, you'd be dressed very elegantly, and that was my dream. But then I grew up in a traditional household. So I don't know how it is with men, but I know for sure it is with women. Like when I was, I'm sure it's like that with boys and men also. When I was 16 or 17, I knew who I wanted to be. Remind me where I parked that, I parked myself on going to the British Council Library and learning about cancer.
Sure.
I'll come back to that, okay?
Sure.
But you have to remember where I parked my
yes.
talk. So this is Tippani, okay? Yeah. So, because I want to share this with you all. So when I was 16, 17, I knew who I wanted to be. I knew that my persona was one of a gregarious person wanting to sing and, do great things, fun things, meet people, be very sociable. But there was a layer around me. I was, the daughter of one Mr. Ramakrishna Iyer, So in the 60s, very traditional, conservative background. There is only so much that you can do, and a lot of other areas of exploration were left known only after you are married. Sleeveless blouse after you are married, lipstick after you are married. That's how it was. Maybe in some families it is still like that, So that was a layer. Then in those days, arranged marriages were very customary.
Correct.
So my marriage was arranged. A wonderful person who became my husband. I think, you know, I have to be very grateful for my parents to choose, you know, this nice guy with a nice family. But then again, the layer of daughter-in-law, the layer of wife, and then after some time, layer of mother. So when I became a mother, that daughter layer peeled off. Because, you know, I'm a mother, my mother's also a mother, so we are peers. So we are equals. And gradually you get into a comfort zone with the person you married.
Right.
You know, you become the daughter-in-law of the house. There is acceptance. So all those layers peel off. The last layer to peel off is the layer of the mother. Because whatever happens, as long as your children, if you're married and if you're a mother, the responsibility of their nourishment primarily lies with the mother.
Correct.
So as long as the children were dependent on me, I had to do that, you know.
Right.
But when my children grew up and left home, I was liberated. See, I love my sons, I love my boys. Well, they're middle-aged men now, but still, I really love them. But, you know, not to be responsible for their well-being, you know, not to worry about khana hai ki nahi, school uniform hai ki nahi, college fees bhare ki nahi, you know, he wants to take his girlfriend out for dinner, you know, will the girl be safe, you know, all these, no worries. Your children are out and they're doing their own thing.
Right.
So that was when I felt true liberation. Now to come back to this point, okay? Now I was 35 years old, I had a job. Okay, at that time I think the mother layer was still there. The mother layer went off when I was 45 years old, when my boys left home. So to go to a library, to bring back books, to study them, it took some effort, you know. But then I learned everything about cancer. And in those days, we didn't have all this fancy technical stuff I see here. Oh, ek overhead projector hua karta tha, and acetates. So I remember sitting and drawing, you know, little cells and telling the mill workers, ये देखिए, जैसे आपका mill बना है ईंटों से, ये जो इमारत है, the same way our body is made up of cells.
Correct.
Each cell has its functions. When these cells, then they grow normally, it's perfectly okay. Sometimes these cells, for some reason, there is an abnormal growth in the cell, then that becomes a tumor. Tumor can be either malignant or benign. If it is benign, no worries. If it is malignant, your doctor will tell you to do investigations. And how certain habits, chewing tobacco, applying mashiri, smoking, you know, tapki, beedis, all these things are risk factors. And they would listen with a lot of interest. Because nobody had come to, you know, say, Madhusudan Mills or India United Mills or you know, Apollo or Jam Mills and, you know, taken over their canteen and talking to them about cancer. I remember in Mahindra Tractors, Kandivali, he was a union leader. He stood up and he said, "To theek hai, kya hua?" You know, mill workers and factory workers, they're into the tobacco habit, just like a lot of us smoke cigarettes to assuage hunger, young college girls to stay slim, street children so that they don't have to look for food, because 50 paise mein jo, what do you call it, gutka and pan masala, pan parag, what is it called? It's got a generic name. Tambaku, no, all this, you know, it kills hunger, and it kills the stress, the tension, and these are all socially acceptable habits. So tobacco consumption in our country is rampant, and that is the leading cause of all kinds of head and neck cancers. Anyway, so then I used to tell, so this unit leader said, he said something like, there are people who've chewed and who've eaten tobacco and smoked cigarettes and nothing has happened to them, and, you know, why should I quit because you're telling me to quit, and what sense does it make? And so I remember feeling very surprised, no? You know, how will I reply to this gentleman, because he was, you know, he had this beard and he was this very, you know, impressive, imposing looking, frightening looking union leader. So then I told him, आप बाहर जाएंगे, आपके factory बाहर जाएंगे, तो there are these traffic signals, right? There is, when it's red, green, red, yellow and green. When the traffic light is green, आप road cross करके जाएंगे, तो आपको कुछ नहीं होगा. I mean, nothing. It's green, it's your right of way, you can go. But if it's red and you walk, फिर आपके ऊपर से BEST की बस या कोई गाड़ी या कोई ट्रक या महिंद्रा का एक ट्रैक्टर ही आपके ऊपर चला जाएगा, क्योंकि ट्रैफिक का नियम आपने फॉलो नहीं किया। तो रोड के नियम होते हैं, कायदे कानून होते हैं। सेम वे life also has its do's and don'ts, and that these are risk factors. So if you stay away from tobacco, the chances are, that you will not be subjected to any kind of condition that is caused by these risk factors. See, my mother-in-law died of lung cancer. She was very young. I was married for just about 2 years. She's never smoked a cigarette or a BD. She's never applied masheri. She's never, snuffed nothing. But how did she get lung cancer? So all these things I learned. My grandmother had esophageal cancer when she was like 53, I think. I was 16. We used to live in Delhi. I used to take her from our house, which was now where Delhi Heart is, Kidwai Nagar. And we used to cross the road and go to All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and she used to be treated by Dr. Gopinath. And so we don't know how she got esophageal cancer. She never smoked a cigarette in her life.
Right.
But if you go to a head and neck ward in any cancer hospital, you will see that more than 90% of the patients there with oral cancers have compulsive tobacco habits. So I learned how to talk to the workers, and then we spoke to the welfare officers, and we told them when the factory or workplace is comparatively less busy, can you give us access to your medical room? Can the workers bring their wives? Can we talk to the wives and talk to them about breast cancer, about cervical cancer? Because after oral and head and neck cancer, these are the most two common cancers. So we will teach them breast self-examination. We'll introduce them to the concept of pap smears, and the labor officers were very happy to do that. So we would go, and then the wives would come, the workers would bring their wives, and we would talk to them, teach them self-breast examination. We bring a gynecologist with us. So these things just kind of, again I keep saying, I think the city of Bombay allows you to do what you want to do. Maybe in another place also this could have been done, but there's ease of functioning in this city, which I think is this city's biggest advantage. So anyway, so that is, all those things happened. Then after a few years, I was deputed to help set up the preventive oncology department in Tata Memorial Hospital. So I spent 3 years there with the best of the doctors, and that's where I learned everything about cancer. And then slowly, getting involved in some international organizations. I got a fellowship to go to Australia. I presented a project on cancer education in the workplace, which is what, I'd been doing. And at some point in time, Leenata, what you call burnout happened.
Right.
There was a time when I used to do a lot of palliative counseling, pediatric counseling. I don't know, there was so I said maybe I'll need to stop doing this work and look at something else. And I think it was a strange time in the life of a middle-aged woman. I must have been 50 years at that time, and you were wondering, should you still continue to work? So many things. Some questions that you formulate as a woman in your mind. There is no definite way to categorize it, but it doesn't matter. So what? You can take a break. You can look at yourself. You can see, and this is applicable to anybody and everybody. And of course, not all of us have the luxury to do that.
Right.
Because we are all coming to work because we are helping run and support our family.
Correct.
We are all coming to work because we are earning our living. So there is really no time to sit back and say, okay, I think I've done enough. I don't want to work anymore. So I quickly got out of that, and I was lucky that I was offered a job at the Crossword bookstore in Mahalakshmi.
Right.
In those days, there was just that one Crossword bookstore. It was not like a stationery store like, bookshops are these days. Only books and books, and maybe coffee and some, book readings and, children's sessions. And so I told these people, I said, I have no retail knowledge. They said, you have product knowledge. Yes, I read. So I was there for some time, and then after about a year and a half, I moved to Delhi. I worked with a well-known television and print journalist called Saeed Naqvi. He was doing a program for Doordarshan at that time, and I was, I was looking for a job. My husband has lost his job, and he was also looking desperately. And I said, now both of us are without jobs, so let me see what I can do. So when this offer came, I went to Delhi. I took all my Bombay attitude to Delhi. And I grew up in Delhi. I was born and brought up in Delhi. But Delhi is different and Bombay is different. So I took my Bombay attitude and it was wonderful. I used to take the DTC bus and I used to go. I lived in Yamuna Par, Patparganj. My office was in Saket. And my own friends I grew up with used to tell me, "Dimag kharab hai aapka? Tu bus mein jati hai?" So I said, "Hello, it's public transport. Everybody's using the bus. Why can't I also use the bus?" And you know, you want to do something, you do. And we come from Bombay. We all use public transport in Bombay, right? So I did that, and that was really wonderful. That experience of meeting people. I remember I interviewed the Afghan ambassador and Tarun Tejpal, and just helped with scripts, and it was a nice interlude. But I had to come back to Bombay, and when I came back to Bombay, there was this call from Dr. Suresh Advani, who is well-known, one of the leading oncologists in India, saying that there is this pharma company called Novartis, and they are looking at beginning a donation program for leukemia patients, and I've recommended your name. Why don't you go and meet them? And another physician, Dr. Parikh, also told me, and so I went and met the people in Novartis, and it was wonderful. They had this magic drug. They called it the magic bullet. It is one drug. A patient has to take it every day, and his fatal leukemia is converted into a chronic manageable leukemia, just like insulin does for diabetes. And this drug at that time, the global price of this drug was $2,000 per month. For a medicine, the patient has to take every day for the rest of his or her life. So, it is pharma lore. They say that the CEO of Novartis Global, his name is Dan Vasella, a wonderful man. He's visited India a couple of times. He's met our patients. Anyway, so they say that he stood up at a meeting like this when someone raised a hand and said, "This is a drug that costs such a large amount of money. How do you think patients are going to be able to afford to buy, spending $2,000 every month for the rest of their life?" And they say that Dr. Vasella stood up and he said, "Yeah, if that is the case, if any patient doesn't have access to insurance or doesn't have access to reimbursement and cannot pay for it privately, we will donate the drug." And they actually put a donation program in place called Glivec International Patient Assistance Program. Glivec is the name of the drug, and that's the program that was handed over to me to manage. And why Max Foundation? Then I joined the Max Foundation. Max was a young boy who died of this leukemia. He came from Argentina. He came with his parents to North America looking for treatment options. He was treated at MD Anderson in Houston and then Fred Hutch in Seattle. His stepmother was his caregiver, Pat Garcia Gonzalez. She cared for him. He died in 3 years. He died when he was 17 years old. And in that time, this magic bullet was not there. The only cure for chronic myeloid leukemia was a bone marrow transplant. Max was an only child. He had no HLA donor that would match. Nothing could be done. He died. And after his death, there must have been two options, for Pat. One was, we've lost our child, but life will go on. The other one which he chose was, I've learned a lot in these 3 years caring for my stepson. Maybe I can share that with other mothers, with other families, other people from South America who come here, who don't know English maybe. I can help them with their Spanish, and maybe I can do something. And that thought was actually a visionary thought. So today, the Max Foundation employs more than 1995 people. We work in many countries that we call developing countries in the Asia Pacific, South Asia, Central Asia, Africa, Latin America. We do a lot of work with exactly those kind of patients that Dan Vasella identified. Those who have no access to insurance, those who don't have reimbursement, and those who cannot afford to pay the drugs. So we work with different pharma companies now. The project that started with one company and one drug and one disease. We work with many pharma companies for many diseases, for a large number of people. We may not be, we may not be able to create access to treatment to thousands and thousands of patients, but we do to a limited number of patients in a few countries, and that is better than doing nothing, I guess. But in India itself, we have We work with more than 18,000 patients who benefited from this program. And some of these patients I have known them for 20 years, 22 years. I've been with the Max Foundation for 22 years now. Like Kailash Ingle, who was 9 years old when he was diagnosed. Yes. Today he's 31 years old. He's a farmer. He was a farmer's son, lives in a village called Digras near Nanded. I'd gone there with him actually in November. I did the trip back with him by train, by tuk-tuk, by some vehicle they call the, I think, Tagras or something, the tempo traveler. Anyway, so his uncle used to bring him when he was this little boy, and he was being treated in Tata Hospital. His father was a poor farmer, you know. His father couldn't leave his kheti badi and then come. So his chacha would bring him, but they were so good, they were so compliant. They took such good care of this young boy. He would come and he would hug me, and then he would take the medicine and go. Then every 3 months, patients have to come back to their treatment center. They have to do some monitoring tests, and they have to get the doctor's prescription based on the results of those tests, and collect the next 3 months supply and go. So it's a program that works very beautifully, and you know, the Max Foundation has set up this a system, a web-based system, where we track the patient's records, we track their everything that is required, their compliance, and yeah. So when I went with Kailash back to his village from Bombay, I saw his family. I met he has 2 children now. He has, you know, his wife. She made this lovely puran polis for us, garma garam with ghee and milk. I remember. So you realize that, you know, how life-giving, you know, the gift of life, this kind of drug is, this kind of work that we do is. A lot of these patients come from all walks of life. Majority of them come from the really challenged socioeconomic background. They don't have the funds. They don't have the funds even to travel regularly. They don't have the funds to do their tests. Their children miss school because we know they're all maybe daily wage earners. Somebody is selling tea somewhere, somebody is a plumber, or someone is a tailor, somebody is a teacher in a municipal school. And I saw these patients falling away, disappearing from my radar. Why I'm saying all this is that there was no, I didn't do any course on how to run an access program. We learned things on the way. We put systems in place. There is only one right way to do things, right? And then if you're doing it the right way, you put systems in place so you can track your actions, and then you can actually measure them. Then you can, now I know there are very smart words and all, you know, how you can, there's something called SWOT analysis, there is something called SMART goals, yeah. And there is, I know, and all this jargon I also know. But all this we did without knowing these terms, right. Because this is the only way to do it. This is the only way to do it. So I think one of the biggest accomplishments of what I have done with the Max Foundation is setting up patient support groups. Because we realized that this whole idea of a patient living with cancer, having to take a drug for the rest of his or her life, take the drug every day, that is a big burden. Right. It's a big burden. And they don't know when this disease will suddenly progress. So that fear is always there. You can tell them, बहुत अच्छा cancer है, आपको दवाई भी, we never say free, huh? We never say मुफ्त में. I always say at no cost to the patient. The cost is being borne by other stakeholders, other partners, the pharma company, the Max Foundation, you know, the physicians. You know, our physicians are simply out of this world. They love their patients. They're seeing these patients for years and years and years, and they're part of our movement. So we realize that wives are worried about their husbands being on drug lifelong. Mothers are worried about their little children, you know, like Samanvita is 3 years old. She's got this. Doctor is saying rest of the life she has to take this drug. Like, what's going to happen today? By the way, Samanvita is 24 years old, and she's doing perfectly well, taking the drug every day because her parents look after her, and now I think she has a boyfriend, and I think she's doing very well. She wants to do hospital administration, and I've known her since she was 3 years old. Like Kailash runs his father's farm like some expert, you know. So then we saw parents who see their little children sick. Then we saw children who see their grandparents sick. And then throughout these 22 years under this program, young children have grown up, teenagers and young adults have become householders, householders have become parents, parents have become grandparents. So we realized that they needed some safe platform where they could come together, where they could share their doubts, ask their questions to each other, and we set up this support group called Friends of Max. Actually, after Friends of Max in India, we have these patient groups in many other countries, Touched by Max in the Philippines, Max Familia in Chile, Max Family in Malaysia, Max Ko Sathi in Nepal, then Vida, Max Vida in some Latin American countries. So there are many patient support groups. And this whole concept of a patient support group, I think, was actually kind of non-existent. You know, people didn't know that we could set up something like a support group. So these support group meetings, we have meetings one meeting every month in one city or the other. 18th we're going to Nasik, 8th is in Tata Hospital in Mumbai. We just had a meeting in Lucknow, uske pehle we were in Raipur, uske pehle we were in Bangalore, uske pehle in Aurangabad, where you have come to one of our Aurangabad meetings, I remember. So you know, this is the stuff we do. And I think I also take immense pride now in the team that I have built. There was just me first, and then, you know, 1, 2, as the number of patients grew, the team grew. So now we have a team, and like I was telling yourself and Mr. Ramchandran, you know, like it's a non-profit, but I run that non-profit like a corporate, you know, like we have our goals and we have our reviews and we have, and you know, we know that, like I said earlier, there is one way to do something and that's the right way. So you you create your own SOPs, you create your own, and then we do training programs, you know, for one another. We keep learning all the time, and you know, the more you learn, the more you grow, and as long as you're learning, you survive, you don't stop growing. So you give me a mic, I'll go on talking. So you tell me if there are any questions. I think I would definitely afterwards like to talk about Chai for Cancer.
That's actually my next question.
Oh my goodness.
So
I'll leave it to you. Yeah.
I am aware about the initiative. So you had started this small initiative few years back, you know, it's called Chai for Cancer initiative, and today I think it's grown to be a very large campaign, you know. So tell us a bit more about this Chai for Cancer initiative that you started.
I'm so glad you asked me that question because this is my pet project, and I was talking about patients who come from distances, and I was talking about Kailash and Samanvita, Sudeepa. I remember once one of our patients, Ram Babu, he used to drive a truck, and he was from Bihar, and he was about 29, 30 years old when he was diagnosed, treated at Tata Hospital. He came and he was very irregular. So I told him, "Aapko to dawai mil rahi hai, aap aate kyun nahi ho?" He said he lost his job, the ठेकेदार had thrown him out because he had cancer, and he had a wife, he had 3 small children, and his doctor had told him to, you know, he was very uncomfortable, felt very uncomfortable when he took the tablet. He felt like throwing up. So I told him, "Did you tell your doctor?" "Yeah." "What did the doctor say?" "Doctor ne kaha doodh ke saath pee lo." So then I'm sitting there at my table, you know, sari wadi sab band ke like this, you know, I have my computer, I have my pens, I have my phone, you know, all my conveniences which I take for granted. और मैं उनको ऐसे मैंने कह दिया, "अच्छा तो दूध के साथ ले लो ना." So Ram Babu sits like this, he doesn't even lift up his head. He says, "अम्मा जी दूध खरीदने का पैसा होता ना, मैं अपनी बेटी को देता, मैं नहीं पीता." And it struck me, you know, कि the simple thing like a glass of milk, this man doesn't have access to that. And here I'm telling him, तो दूध के साथ पी लो. And you know, there was this girl, she's such a bright girl, Sudeepa. Every time she would come, she'd make, you know, she'd do some handcraft for us. She would paint a picture, or once she even brought a little embroidered tablecloth to put over the table in our office. And very, very smart child, enjoys going to school. So one time she came with her father, so I asked her, "Beta, school, how's school going?" And so she didn't say anything. I looked up at her father, I said, "Why? She's not going to school or what?" So he was saying, "This test costs 8,000 rupees. So when I have to do this test, I either can pay for the test or I can pay for school fees." तो 3 महीने जब मैं टेस्ट करते तो 3 महीने के बाद बच्ची मेरी स्कूल नहीं जाती है. So I said, the father cannot afford that money because that money he has to put for doing her test. And without doing the test, she won't get that medicine which is given to her at no cost. But they have to do this. And then I remember there was this other gentleman, his son was the patient. and he was a fruit seller in Malad, I think, yeah. ये मई की तपती गर्मी में he came to our office, साइकिल चला के आए, पूरा पसीना से पता नहीं came and so हमने बिठाया, you know, we gave him लस्सी, कुछ ऑफिस में कुछ भी रहता है, फ्रिज में हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ रहता है for patients to have. Then I asked him, I said, बस में क्यों नहीं आए आप? ऐसे साइकिल चला के इतनी दूर साइकिल चला के क्यों आए? He said, बस का किराया 18 रुपया है, उतना मैं दे नहीं सकता हूँ, तो मेरे झोपड़पट्टी के साथ जो रहते हैं उनका साइकिल लेके आया. He didn't have 18 rupees to pay for bus fare. And he's saying, अच्छा मैडम अभी जल्दी कीजिएगा, मुझे जाके अपना ठेला निकालना है, because whatever I earn today is what the money I will take back to my family. So then, like I told you, we had set up this group, Friends of Max. I don't know how I had got that idea, and I'm telling each one of you today, you know, this series is called Empower Her, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me at least not just keep talking meaninglessly, but let me try and
your
bring.
story is still very inspiring.
Let me bring some of these, you know, bring the concept. We should be fearless, whether women or men. We should have complete belief in ourselves. We should know that unless we take a step ahead, we cannot go forward. We cannot sit where we are and expect to, I cannot keep sitting here and expect to be where Bhavna is sitting, right? यहाँ पे एक level difference है. I have to be aware of that. I just can't rush like that. If I rush, I will fall. So I have to first stand up, then I have to see what is here, then I have to see are there any other, I don't know, stumbling blocks or something. Nothing is there. I can get up and I can go. What is stopping me? But there are certain constraints which we put on ourselves. But I think if you have conviction in yourself, and you have to remember one thing, people look at you the way you look at yourself. So if you are a confident person, that confidence is visible to everybody. So I remember when we set up this support group, something in me said, I must register this as a trust. You have to keep looking ahead, okay? You cannot rest on your laurels. You can't just sit and say, okay, itna humne kiya bahut ho gaya. No, you have to push yourself. And you have to have that hunger. You have to want to do more and more and more. It's so easy not to do that, but I don't know, I was not able. I wanted to do things. Because, you know, the company made it so easy for us. Novartis gave the drug, such an expensive drug, they gave it. And we in the Max Foundation had to make something substantial. We had to make it a project that would grow, a project misal ban jata, a project that would be an example to others, to other pharma companies, to other people who had products that they could then make available. They create access, and they used a non-profit to be the face of the program. So if that responsibility has been given to me, I just cannot sit, do nothing. So now I'm able to explain all those thoughts and put it into this language. I'm sure this was my guiding light when I said I'm going to register this trust. Went to the charities commissioner's office, itne chakkar lagaye udhar, you know, you have to fill some 120,000 forms and you have to do this and but I did all that. I had a wonderful group of patient leaders with me who then became trustees along with me. They're all patients undergoing treatment. One of the trustees, his wife is a patient. One of the trustees, his younger brother is a patient. One of the trustees, again, his wife is the patient. One trustee, her husband is the patient. One trustee is neither a patient nor a caregiver, just a friend who said, a communications expert who said, I want to be part of this movement. So I called the trustees who stay in Bombay. Some of the trustees stay in other cities. I said, aap log aa jao, we have a situation here. We are giving the drug, okay, there are these patients, but these patients don't have the resources to come and collect the drug. And there are children who are not going to school because their father cannot pay for the tests as well as the school fees. We need to do something. We need to raise funds. How to raise funds now? It's the most difficult thing in the world to do. I told myself, I will do anything, but I'm not going to be raising funds. And now, Linita, 10 years I've done Chai for Cancer.
Yes.
11th year is now being launched.
Yes.
Day after tomorrow.
Right.
Okay, with the Chai for Cancer Adda in my house. I invite all of you to come to my house. Take the address from this girl. Come home for a Chai for Cancer Adda. And what is Chai for Cancer? So I told, we sat at our table. मेरे टेबल में एक मग पड़ा है. The mug says Australia's biggest tea and coffee morning. And when like I said, I had gone to Brisbane for my training, fellowship. They had taken me to a fundraiser there. It was a lady's house, and there was cake, and there was coffee, there was tea, there was sandwiches, and everybody ate, and there was conversation, and a very nice morning. And on the way out, you donated a small amount, and these mugs were for sale. I remember paying $5 and picking up that mug, and that mug is on my table with pens and pens that don't work. In every table, there is a mug with pens that don't work. There is a letter opener, there is a scissor, there must be one hair clip, kuch bhi rehta hai. I picked up that mug and I told these guys, I said, hey, listen, why don't we do something like this? Chalo, main apne ghar mein adda karti hu. Just there it came out, and we'll call it Chai for Cancer Adda. We will tell people to come and have chai with us and to donate something for that 1 cup of chai. We just started this, I think it was April or something, and the next Sunday I was free was the 2nd Sunday of May. Ittefaq se wo Mother's Day tha. I said, fine, let's do it. I'll call people to my house. And that time, you know, Facebook and all was there. So social media, created an event and I put it out and called friends, called neighbors, called family, called everybody over, chai, thode samosa, some jalebi, then 1 kilo of biryani in the afternoon, then some cake in the evening. I told people, just come. People came, they stayed the whole day, they donated. We raised 1,23,000. 86 people came to my small apartment in Thane. And 10 years ago, that's a lot of money. That really encouraged us. So people who came to my house, some of them were patients, some of them were friends. They started doing addas in their houses. Hey, can we do Chai for Cancer Adda in our house? And you know what happened? This set a new trend. In those days, people had stopped going to each other's houses. Acha, let's go and meet at barista. Yeah, coffee day mein milenge. Abhi Starbucks aa gaya. Okay, let's go and have something at Starbucks. We would never meet in homes. We kept meeting outside. Now this gave a chance for people to invite their friends and family to their homes. And soon, today, 10 years have elapsed. And we've raised around 4 crores.
Wow.
In these 10
That's
years.
Really amazing.
And this is not from any big corporate entity. This is a little money from a lot of people. People like you and me who say, okay, a cup of chai, if I can dedicate 1 cup of chai to the well-being of a cancer patient, and that can bring hope and dignity into the life of a cancer patient. So with that money, we are doing free BCR-able testing for patients. We are paying school fees, we are paying school bus fees, we are paying for school uniforms, books. We are taking care of to and fro travel. And when they come to a big city, we're taking care of the amount of money that is required to stay in a lodge. The needs are simple. Patients' needs are seemingly small. But if a patient doesn't have money to buy a glass of milk with which to swallow his medicine, that is not a small, insignificant need. That is a very big need that is going unmet. I'm very proud to say, and I'm so thankful to people who have embraced Chai for Cancer. I do these addas, people come home. People do it in their homes. Now hospitals have started doing it. Tata Medical Center in Kolkata, Dr. Reena Nair and her team. Tata Memorial Hospital in Bombay. Rajiv Gandhi in Delhi, Dr. Dinesh Burani and his team. Indo-American Society in Hyderabad, Dr. Senthil Rajappa and his team. And we do addas in Lodi Gardens in Delhi, in Kaban Park in Bangalore, in Victoria in Calcutta. Morning walkers ko pakadte hain. We just go, we bring a little ketli of chai, apne banners lagte hain, thode flyers hote hain. We tell the morning workers, come have chai. Now today we have the QR code, they can just, but people say, no, I'm come for walk, I don't have change in my pockets. So we would give them the pamphlet. We'd say, theek hai, online donate. They can donate online. Just go to chaiforcancer.org, and I use social media as a tool.
Right.
We don't know what a powerful tool social media is. Yes, in the hands of children, it is a danger. Yes, but we grown-ups can lead the way. It's a tool. It's like a knife. With a knife, I can either kill somebody, or I can cut an apple and I can share that with everybody. Social media is a tool. I started using social media, without fear. There was a time I hate. Like when I tell these patient stories, aisa lagta hai ki sometimes we're exploiting the patient's helplessness, So very conscious about that. So initially patients were shy, they would say, nee, I don't want to stand up and talk, or no, don't put my name. After a while, I saw patients are calling, Amma, hame tag nahi kiya Facebook mein, So they want to be there. They want to stand up and say, yes, I am a cancer patient. And I want the world to know that you can fight the fear that surrounds cancer, because it's the fear around cancer that we are fighting. It's not the disease itself. I don't like it when people say she lost the battle to cancer when she died or something. There's no battle, kuch nahi. It's a disease.
Right.
It's a disease. Ab disease शब्द का संधि विच्छेद कीजिए. Disease, absence of ease. That's all it is. So it's happening, Leenata. Addas are happening. I just conducted an Adda in Seattle. I've done Addas everywhere, anywhere. Anybody wants to host an Adda, yes, you can do it, you know. And patients host in their homes.
Right.
Patients are hosting in their homes, calling their friends, talking to them, sharing their. Please go to our social media handles. Everywhere it's Chai for Cancer. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. I still don't say X, and Instagram. Just go there, and you can. There are patient stories. There are success stories. There are so many things that you can read, and there's a website, chaiforcancer.org, and the Friends of Max website is friendsofmax at .info, I-N-F-O. So yeah, your next question.
No, that's really wonderful.
I want to do a Chai for Cancer Adda here one time.
Let's do that.
I love this area. Yeah, I want to do an Adda here. Thank you. Thank you. This is such a beautiful space.
Right.
The minute I walked in, I said, Adda. We have to keep thinking, no? We have to keep thinking. Always think ahead. Yeah.
Yes, but that's a really wonderful initiative, and actually we see the results now, and it's actually inspiring to see how such a small initiative can make such a huge difference, you know.
And all because of the support from people. Bishu was 7 years old when he was diagnosed, 6. He came with his grandfather, and his grandfather said, "ये बच्चे को आप अपने पास रखिए, इधर कहीं पड़ा रहेगा, वो चाय पिलाएगा आपको, कुछ छोटे मोटे, give him some small jobs. I can't take him back home because he's got cancer. His parents have 5 other children, and Bishu Kumar his name is, and वो तो मर जाएगा उधर, कोई उसको ध्यान भी नहीं करेगा." Today Bishu is in 9th standard. Chai for Cancer funds have taken care of all his needs. So it works.
Yes.
It works.
So beautifully, right?
Yeah.
Well, to move on to our next question. So you've lived in, Venezuela and the US, and I feel that that experience has somehow shaped your perspective and resilience in some way, So could you tell us a bit more about that and some insights as to how that experience impacted you and how you overcame any challenges that you might have faced at that time?
I like the word you use, resilience. Resilience implies belief in yourself and willingness to display strength and to wait it out, to be resilient, to wait something out. Yeah, Venezuela was an amazing experience. I mean, I was like, I was just, I was a mother. I had a beautiful house. Oh, floors वगैरह wax के साथ polish करते थे हम लोग. Red tiles gleaming. There was a garden. Early morning, husband would go off to refinery. Children would go to school. I never thought I would do these things, but I learned how to drive a car. I took painting. Yeah, I took painting lessons. सब किया. Then the dream collapsed. The Bolivar oil prices came down. The Bolivar was deep. I think I mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
So my husband said that I'm not going back to India empty-handed. Let's go to the US. I'll do my MBA. He was 40 years old at that time. I'll do my MBA and we'll go back. He passed the exams, TOEFL, WOEFL करना पड़ता था तभी भी.
Right.
He पढ़ाई वगैरह करके he did it, but he didn't get an assistantship, So then we were without assistantship. Education in the US is very, very expensive. So all the money we had left was going into his fees. He was a heavy smoker. He says he's smoking from the age of 17 or something, but my father-in-law once told me he was smoking from the age of 12. Yeah. Can you believe it? Matunga, he grew up in Matunga. So he said, I will not spend dollars on cigarettes. I will not. What will you give up? He asked me. I said, oh. I was like, I said, wonderful, you're stopping cigarettes. But he says, no, what will you? So I said, okay, I won't use makeup. Fine. But he was there on a student visa. Yeah. So my social security card said, you cannot, I can't work. So but somebody had to bring in some money. So I used to do babysitting. मेरे अपने बच्चे का sometimes I would leave them in the house and I would go and babysit somebody else's child. Mostly they were in school, but some days it happened that, you know, there was a call. I used to get $25 an hour. You don't say no to that, you know, go and look after somebody's children, but you did it. Then I used to sell, there's a brand called Avon Cosmetics.
Right.
I used to go door to door and sell those cosmetics. I gave up makeup, but I would sell cosmetics. Then I would do little lectures, guest lectures in schools, talk about Indian culture in schools. So some, you know, little pocket money and some stuff would come. I never realized I could do all that. So when you're pushed into a corner, you realize that you do have certain skills, certain capabilities.
Right.
And so I learned, I think that experience only gave me the courage to talk to a union leader or to talk to a, you know, labor officer or a welfare officer. I mean, listen, if you're an Indian woman and if you're in the US and you can go door to door selling Avon Cosmetics to American women, you can do anything. You can do anything. So yes, but living in Venezuela, you know, till the economy changed, was a beautiful experience. We were welcomed into the society. We learnt a new language. We made new friends. And this was such a long time ago when, you know, we never even dreamt that we would. ख्वाब तो वही रहा ना कि air hostess बनेंगे. But no, actually I was sitting in a plane and flying to this exotic land. You know, so yes, so all those things helped. That when all the things that happen to us when the times are good, you know, we keep them close and we without knowing, they have an impact on us. And then when tough times come, those are the experiences that we convert, you know, it's like saving fuel. That is what then we know we convert into energy and then we do something new. So yes, first of all, I think a lot of self-esteem. You know, here you were always that bahu, you know, whose parents were not as good as, you know, we all go through this, no? So staying in another society, another environment where you were not measured, you know, in different terms, you are who you are, you know. I think that was nice, and that the sense of freedom, learning a new language, listening to a lot of good music, being the master in your own house, you know, nobody going to call and say, "Barish ho rahi hai, bachche ko nehlao mat," type things, you know. So, you know, like just do what you want to do, be your own person. No disrespect meant anywhere, okay? No disrespect anywhere. Because we grow in a community and it takes a whole village to raise a child, you know, and the community is our strength. But when you're on your own, you realize that you have, you know, we all have deep inner reserves of strength within us. We don't know. But then when you're thrown into a situation, you know that there are no external factors. It's all within you. And also this power to make you happy or unhappy, I keep saying this, don't give it to anybody else.
True.
That is yours. Once you give that power to somebody else, you're lost. Both, to be happy or to be unhappy. So I guess these are the lessons I learned, you know, and came back to India definitely stronger, more outspoken, and very grateful for, you know, that experience.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask something very interesting. I think many people would want to know about it. So you recently ventured into acting.
At the age of 71, like you said.
No, but that is absolutely amazing. And by the way, congratulations that you've just signed a second film as well. So
Yes,
congratulations for that.
And a third.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So congratulations. So tell me about this whole journey, you know, how did it all begin and what was it that was going on in your mind, you know, when
I still can't
you
believe
got
it.
the opportunity?
I still cannot believe it. It's thanks to Instagram. The casting director saw a photograph of mine on Instagram, and that was that look. Now these are these film words, you know. That look was what the brief that the director had given her. And so somebody sent me a message which I didn't see for weeks, because you don't see, na?
Right.
I mean, unless you follow that person, you don't see the requests.
Right.
So this was like, we are casting for a Malayalam film. Would you be interested? So I messaged that I have a full-time job. And I don't speak, I speak Malayalam, but it's very bad Malayalam. You know, Tamil and Malayalam are my mother tongue. But so when it's you're busy, you know how work is so hectic. You know, we headquarters is in Seattle. We have some partners in UK, some people in Australia. So whole 24 hours we have. You all know. We work 24 hours thanks to, where's the phone? Thanks to, you know, technology. So there was no time. So I said, no, I mean, I didn't even think about it.
Right.
But they called, there was an email, there was a, I don't know how they got my email from, but there were messages. There was a message in Facebook from somebody, we are casting for a Malayalam film. And then I kept saying, I have a full-time job, I don't speak Malayalam so well. Then the casting director, she actually called me. Her name is Gayatri Smita. She's based out of Bangalore. She tells me she's seen me once somewhere in Bangalore and she had stashed my look away, you know, for some use point in time. So then she said, the director is coming to Bombay. He speaks English. It's a Sunday. So why don't you meet him? So I met him, a young boy, very passionate, a lovely smile. I think I just fell in love with him that day. We had lunch together. He told me my co-star would be Fahad Fasil and Vineet Radhakrishnan. So I said, okay, where do I sign? It was so simple. But I loved the story. It's about girl-child education. It's about this, you know, very elderly Muslim matriarch in a Malayali family in Mumbai. Hey, that's alliteration. Muslim matriarch in a Malayalam family in Mumbai. Yeah, so, okay. So, and she, you know, it is very beautiful story with two wonderful characters in Vineet Radhakrishnan and Fahad Fasil. And it was exciting. And my husband said, why are you even thinking? You know, do it. And that trait which I keep saying you should all have, na, be fearless. Do it, no? What is the harm? Do it. So I actually went to a lady called Rajamanti. She's a neighbor in Thane. She's a Malayalam teacher. I took diction and pronunciation lessons from her. You know, when you speak Tamil, your Malayalam accent is horrible. So you have to be very careful with that. You know, it's like a Gujarati trying to speak Bengali. You know, your accent is different. You know, how you say near, how you say what. Anyway, so it was a lovely experience. We shot 3 weeks and the pandemic happened. So then 2 years we had to wait. Then we finished it after that. The film did very well.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So it is very, and then of course a couple of other offers have come. I've shot for some. It's nice. It's a welcome distraction, you know. And you're learning new things. You know. You're meeting new people. Something different. For me, it's a little escape from the work. Also, but I talk a lot about our work. You know, when we're just sitting around and chatting, I tell them all about our work and what we do, and I tell them all to put a cup of chai and take a chai fee and post it. And, you know.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So it's been very. It's a great opportunity that came my way, and
yes.
I'm very grateful for that. You know, at this stage in life, yeah.
I think you're getting a lot of praise as well for your work.
Well, the film was very good. The theme was very good. It's a very good director. So, you know, it was good. Yeah.
Amazing. So, so this is something that even I personally want to know. So you as a person, you are always super active, you know, and you have amazing networking skills. So, and I truly believe that networking is very valuable and often we overlook it, you know. So, what is your take on the importance of networking, especially in today's digital age, you know, and do you have any tips for people who might find networking challenging, you know?
Yeah, it all depends upon the kind of person you are and what you do. Like there are people who are very private, who are not very keen on disclosing, you know, intimate details and other people, you know, knowing what they're doing or what's happening on a personal, their personal space is very precious to them. And then there are people who really don't mind talking about even their personal experiences, and there is a certain level of, you know, enjoyment it gives. And then work. Today work is changing. Today the way you work is different. In the generation that I grew up in, somebody took up a job, retired in that same job, okay?
Right.
Retired in that same job. I've been working with the Max Foundation for 22 years. I'm going to be 72 in a month's time. I should retire and go, or maybe I would have, seen, checked out some other opportunities. But no, but that is my generation's strength or characteristic or, or weakness or whatever you want to call it. But today's generation is hungry for more, more, more. Today's generation wants to add to the layers. Today's generation wants to learn more. Today's generation wants to be here today, be somewhere else tomorrow, be again in a third place the day after. There is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong because you're learning all the time. And networking skills, I think they come to you. If you are tuned to that, if you are drawn to that, it comes to you. And today technology has made it so easy for us to be connected all the time. And I think also to network and to build, to create, to find, create and nurture relationships, whether it is on a professional level or on a personal level, I think there has to be a lot of integrity within you.
Right.
We all have values. We have to understand what those values are, and we have to abide by those values, and you have to respect the other person. Respect, trust, faith. I think in any partnership, trust and faith go hand in hand. So I guess, I don't know if this is the right answer to the question you put out, but networking is used to be a personal choice, used to be, today it's a necessity.
Yeah.
Today it's a necessity.
True.
Because you see, it's just not you. Your teammates depend upon you.
True.
Okay, to take the whole team ahead.
Correct.
Your family, your children, I have 2 grandchildren. The granddaughter is 20, the grandson is 18, and I see them. I mean, they're like what, 50 years younger than I am. So this is like 3 generations away from me, and I look at them. I see how they are, what they do, how they face, how they, what they want out of their education, how they are with their parents, how they are with their friends. And I see amazing skills in them. Networking skills, I guess. I see communication skills. I see so many things in them. But I also see that their values are the same, which my parents taught me, which my parents got from their parents. So some values never change. Respect for elders, respect for women, respecting your co-worker, being kind, being disciplined, telling the truth, simple things. So, I don't know.
So I think as long as you stay strong with your values, you will be fine.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And we should enjoy what we do. Look at the freedom technology has given us.
Right.
We have to use it wisely also. We have to use it wisely. We have to choose our options wisely. And, there is no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. What seems right to me may not seem right to you. So I somehow always feel that, there's no right or wrong, but there is something that some things are not appropriate at a particular point in time. I like to use the word correct and incorrect instead of right and wrong. And I don't know, even incorrect is not like a good word. So we just need to make sure that we choose the path that is right for us, and we intentionally do not cause hurt to another. We have to look out for ourselves. Nobody is going to look out for you. You have to look out for yourself. Forge ahead. Go ahead. The world is your oyster. You can do what you want to do in it. I mean, and especially if you're letting, and I see it's not, today I will say it's not just Bombay, because I go to meet our patients in our patient group meetings in all over, whether it is Madurai, Coimbatore, Udumalapete, Hosur, Mangalore, I don't know, just name any, Bhubaneswar, Raipur, Raichur, Lucknow, any place, Chandigarh, Ludhiana, Baroda, Surat, Ahmedabad, Jammu, Kolkata, Siliguri. Anywhere I go, I find the young, they're like, they know so much. At a time, they used to feel that we are not in one of the big cities. But today, because of networking, because of technology, no, they are where they are, and they are in the same space where somebody in Bombay or Delhi or Chennai or Bangalore is, you know.
Right.
They are empowered, man. They are empowered. You know. But yes, tools can be used to hurt other people also.
Right.
So that's why that having the values are very important. Having those values imbibed in you are very important.
So true. So I think I have asked you a lot of questions already. I would just like to see if anyone from the audience has any questions. Or if anyone online has any questions.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. Ma'am, so just had one question, when you said that, raising funds is so difficult, that really struck me, because even while at an early age, while I was doing some internship with Pry, and we were just going door to door to collect funds, we ran across the entire colony, and just three people gave us some funds. So how do you basically I don't know, there's a question of credibility also when it comes to such a big organization, that people tend to are reluctant to give funds. So how do you bridge that gap where people who generally want to give funds also are don't end up giving funds? So how do you bridge that gap? I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Tell me something. How do you sell a product?
Try to get the best product market fit.
Okay. Okay. Market fit.
Yeah.
Then?
You
Before that, when you design your product?
You try to basically get the best value proposition, make it attractive to the consumers,
Okay. Yeah.
etc.
Yeah. What goes into the product?
Right.
Yeah. Make it attractive, and then get the best value of it.
Right.
And then?
Then do the entire marketing gimmick to sell the product to the consumer. Yeah.
So that's what I started doing with Chai for Cancer.
Right.
Earlier it was very difficult. So I decided that, okay, this is a product, right? I have to make this attractive to people. So I have to have packaging, right? I have to have packaging, and I have to make sure that the product itself demonstrates its own worth and its value, and what it gives in return to the person who I'm trying to sell that product to. So fundraising, it is still, despite of all this big jargon I have given you, it still remains difficult. But you have to understand the market. You have to understand the people to whom you are going. More importantly, or most importantly, you have to understand what it is you're going to do with what you're going to get from them. So you have to know your target, your beneficiary. So you have to learn how to project the needs of your beneficiary in such a way that the person who is going to donate to you is convinced. And we also have to convince that there is something in you. When you give something, there is an immense joy that comes to you in the giving. So all these things, I think, are working. And I think the most important thing is transparency and follow-up. And follow-up and acknowledging the donor, involving the donor in the activities. We just don't want the money from the donor. We want them to believe in the cause. We want them to own the cause. Like today, all of you said you'd be very happy to host an adda here. That happiness was enough for me, But that is actually such a good question, like how do you convince someone to? I haven't achieved success in tapping the CSR pool out there. So I think my goal in the next 10 years is, I'm being very optimistic. I just now disclosed my age, and I'm saying in the next 10 years, But believe me, when I was 62, I thought I'm ready to retire. Imagine if I had said then, kabhi main kuch nahi karungi, I would never have come to this office to talk to all of you lovely people. So in the next 10 years, this thing is understand the CSR mystery and find out how to get, because imagine if a big donor would give me a certain amount for chai for cancer, then that would ease my stress. Oh my God, I have to raise money every month. So that would make me a little bit more efficient. That will make me think more about better ways to utilize, better ways to ensure that the beneficiaries get a good deal, and better ways to ensure that the donor also has a satisfaction. You know? So yeah, so I guess that's what it is. But I understand people don't want to give. Another reason, there is a big market now. There are so many people asking for money for so many things. The situation is so bad that there are people without jobs, there are people who have absolutely no savings, there are people who don't have money for basic necessities. They have nothing. And diseases and other situations and other causes are also coming up. There's a lot of competition in the field of fundraising. You have to be better than the other. You know, 3 non-profits will go to a donor and they will present. Now you have to have your annual report. You have to have everything transparent there. Okay, you got 4 crores, you're saying, Viji Venkatesh, that you got 4 crores in these 10 years of Chai for Cancer. Believe me, 4 crores sounds wonderful, but if I had raised 4 crores in 1 month, then everybody should clap. 4 crores over 10 years at least, but my need is, you know, small needs for these patients, these 18,000 patients we look after. So you have to have transparency, you have to put out your annual report, you have to say where you're spending your money, and it's ridiculous to expect people to donate to you if they know that you're going to spend that money on administrative costs. You know, like, you have to be very, very cautious about that. Then you have to project your cause. You have to have a dossier. You have to have a document. You have to have something that reflects the work you've done. So you have to actually record your activities. If I'm telling you I'm doing patient support group meetings, then I should tell you what happens in those patient support group meetings. Why is it important for me to receive at least 2.5 lakhs for conducting one patient group meeting? I'm telling you I do drama therapy, I do art therapy, I do compliance workshops, I do volunteer training. What is the impact on the patient? Can I measure this? You know, how can I convert it into something that is effective and result oriented? So I have to have that, and then I have to also show my donors that there is stability, that there is sustainability, that there is accountability. As I'm talking to you, these words are coming to me. It's not, I didn't plan this talk, but this is the reality. So I think we in Friends of Max and Max Foundation, we have a wonderful partnership with these pharma companies, and we have a beautiful partnership with our physicians, with our treating physicians, and the best partnership of all with our patients. So I think, you know, these are very important. Every non-profit struggles, and the government is very harsh, and rightly so, I guess. I got my FCRA after a lot of struggle, and then it was all stopped, you know, and finally after some, I don't know how many years, our FCRA has been renewed for another 5 years, and for me, that is proof. You know, Home Ministry doesn't approve so easily, but they have approved for me. You know, so now I feel, yes, I should, that's another thing. For right. In the coming 5 years, I want to make an impact and try and see if people outside the country can donate. And you know how powerful currency outside is, you know. Right. So that will also be very good for us. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Thank you, ma'am. So ma'am, we also have a lot of folks joining in online. So one question which has come is, you know, how do we prepare from a mental state of patients, you know, when a patient knows that, you know, he or she is diagnosed with cancer, how do we prepare for the tough journey for them from a mental perspective?
I'm glad there are questions, because if there are no questions, it means 2 things. One is that nobody understood a single thing. And the other is the talk was so good that nobody wants to ask any questions. Both hopefully are not true. But this is a very, very good, you know, relevant question to ask. In all these years of working with people who have been diagnosed with cancer and their family members, I have seen that I spoke about those deep inner reserves of strength at that time that comes out. And invariably it is the patient who gives us the courage. The patient is able to face, is able to understand that this is what is happening, this is a fatal, possibly fatal, life-limiting, life-threatening condition. There is a sense of isolation, there is a lot of fear, there is this fear of treatment, fear of disfigurement, then there is the financial toxicity, then there is how the role in my family will, my role in my family will change, my role in my workplace will change, everything will change, how will my family do without me, where will we find resources, all these thoughts come. Then there is the 5 typical responses, for loss, which is fear and anger and denial, and then eventually there is acceptance. Now this acceptance cannot be the fatalistic kind of acceptance, this is what is written in my destiny and this has happened to me. And acceptance comes from understanding, that gives strength, and that when a patient achieves that stage, that we come in then. And most of the time we don't have to say anything, we just have to listen. As a counselor or as someone who is not a member of the immediate family or a close friend, a person who is diagnosed with a life-limiting, life-threatening illness like this, wants to share, wants to talk, wants somebody to just listen, and an immediate family member, the patient hesitates because already the family is stressed, the family is in deep distress, and they don't want to trouble the family even more. I've seen this a lot in children. Children adapt and children accept and children factor the issue into their day-to-day life so unquestioningly, and the only deep sentiment, the deep emotion they feel is a sense of guilt that because of them their parents are so stressed, their parents are so worried, which happens, any person who is supported by a caregiver will feel that. But I think once the patient is given a year, once we've listened to the patient, once the patient has come to terms with this is what is, this is the situation, this is what he or she is facing, that gives us the right entry point. Then you have understood how can we help you, and then getting them resources. Today the internet is there, of course Dr. Google is there always, but we can use our wisdom and guide the patient to the right resources, give the right referrals, introduce them to which doctor they need to see, not necessarily, that, oh, this doctor so-and-so is the best, no, but you're staying in this city, okay, these are the cancer hospitals in your city, these are the departments, this is where you can go and talk, and online, like Tata Hospital, there is Navya, that you can get your second opinion just through that portal, you can just put in all your details. So we are there as help them navigate the path towards accessing treatment. I don't know if that answered the question with enough clarity,
Yes,
but that's how we do it.
100%. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Neera, you can please.
Okay, thank you. So I have one question specifically for all of us here. So drawing from your wealth of experience and accomplishments, what what advice would you offer to the young professionals who are willing to make a difference in their respective fields?
Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Don't let anybody diminish your ambition. Walk tall, be confident. You have the ability in you to distinguish between what is right for you and what may not be appropriate at a particular point in time. So do not be afraid. And head up, shoulders back, eyes looking ahead. Yeah? The world is yours. Capture it. If I could do it, a 35-year-old, homemaker with absolutely no education qualifications. Well, yes, I did have a bachelor's degree, but if today if I'm sitting, in this room talking to all of you intelligent people, must have done something right, I guess. I'm very proud, and be very proud of yourself. Don't let anybody, put you down. You know what you want. Go out and get it. Yep.
Super. Thank you. And
Thank you.
so I just have one last question for you. Just wanted to understand from your perspective, what is your take on cancer, the disease, and what is that one message you would like to give to people out there who are living and fighting this cancer, any type of
Cancer can happen to anybody at any time. Nobody is immune to cancer. I lost my husband to cancer 6 months ago. It came from nowhere. After 5 weeks of diagnosis, he was no more. And I kept telling myself, I know so much about cancer. I have worked for 36 years in cancer care. How could I let this happen? So it's not that, then I thought to myself, it's not that I let it happen. It happened. Cancer can happen to any living organism that is made up of cells, right? We are not to be afraid of it. Because when you're afraid of something, then that cancer is going to take over, right? You have to question it. You have to equip yourselves with tools to understand. And the best tool is education, information, awareness, getting rid of misconceptions and all these, myths, nothing like that. And acceptance that comes out of understanding, knowing that it is life, death is inevitable, try and minimize the suffering. When I was looking after my husband, I come from such a place of privilege. I had all the knowledge. I knew who were the best doctors. I had financial strength to give him the best care, in those 5-6 weeks. And it brought back to me the fact, the truth, that there are people who don't have this, what I had when I had to take care of my husband. So that has only given me more determination to make sure that everybody has a fair chance when faced with the diagnosis of cancer.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Viji, and I think we all have learned a lot, and you've definitely inspired us all with your stories and experiences. I would actually like to call now our CMD, Mr. Shri Prakash Pandey, for a vote of thanks. Please come.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Can you just give me your hand, Vinita? Thank you. Old knees. Thank you.
It is such a pleasure knowing you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to come here.
Thank you.
Your energy, your passion, your thoughts, the perseverance from the story of your life. It's such an amazing, amazing journey which you have had.
Thank you.
And we're kind of beneficiaries of your experience today, and I think that is really, really great for us. I think lots to learn. I think 3 points which I wrote, in my phone while you were talking. I think we really need to imbibe this. First and foremost, what you said was be fearless in whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
How good is that, right? Just be fearless.
Be
It's
fearless.
such a simple thing, but we don't do that. Right? Follow our heart, go ahead and get things done. How amazing is that?
Thank
right?
you.
And second, which I really liked was, just do it. Karne se hi hoga. Come and do it.
Yeah.
Just come over
Just
and do it.
Yeah, do it.
Right? And third, learning from chai
For cancer.
for cancer, less is more.
Yes.
It's really amazing.
Yes.
It's really amazing. Less is really, really more.
Yeah.
And I think these three
Thank you.
important lessons that
Thank you
come
for giving
from
me
your-
less is more. I like that.
Seriously, that is
Yeah.
what I thought
Yeah.
when you actually talked about Chai
Yeah.
for Charcha. Small initiatives really create big impacts.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing that you could come.
Thank you.
Lirata, thank you so much for letting us meet Viji.
Thank you.
It is a
thank
pleasure
you.
and honor.
My,
thank you
I'm so
much.
delighted to be here. And I just spoke from the heart, I guess. See what happens when you speak, you look at people and you make some eye contact and you realize that people are looking at you and paying attention, and then you just, so you're a beautiful audience, I guess. That's the best thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We
Thank
just
you.
have a small token of remembrance.
He doesn't look small.
And I also wanted to say that you are like befitting for our Empower Her series of talks.
Thank you.
I mean, such an amazing thing. Our female colleagues here were drawn so much of
Thank you.
learning from what they heard today, right?
Thank you.
And I think when you said that it's next 10 years that you would like to do this,
Yeah.
I think there is never say no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Never say no.
Absolutely.
This is just a small, letter from us, ma'am.
So sweet.
Thank you so much.
This is very sweet of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. And all the guys who are here, I know that all of you have women in your lives. So I know that you will take back all these messages to them, right? Yeah? Huh?
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. And we all will.
Yeah. And the women here to the men in your lives.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
the
it goes
same.
both ways, yeah.
Empower ourselves. You know, empower ourselves. Yeah.
Indeed. Ma'am,
And this.
just a small
Thank you
token.
so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. So nice. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
so much.